Well, you already know everything, but we're going to finish off with you today now. Come. You've done a lot for your daughter too by helping her here.
By helping her with
you know,
everything.
after the COVID crisis that we went through, or when it started, people are trying to find ways to enjoy life. And you can't travel, you can't do anything. A lot of people went to the garden. And that's what your daughter did too.
Well, exactly.
And she came to you and said, give me a hand.
She wanted assistance.
Yeah.
I gave her all I could.
Well, you're giving her plenty.
Manually, but,
Well, she's done her research and she's done, you know, she's come across us and followed our pathways in what we do in gardening, and I'm proud to say that it's worked for her, and I'm excited and very honoured that she's followed us, and proud that you've been able to help her build all these raised garden beds, because like she was saying earlier, folks, this was all built with no nails or anything, just some garden stakes, a bit of timber in there and timber, soil.
A lot of burrowing in the driveway here.
And the benefits for her to come out and her first attempt to grow a tomato like that there, that if I was to put a scale on, it's not fully ripened yet, nowhere near ripened, or it's moisture. So that's going to hit over a kilo, at least 1.2, 1.3, once it gets the moisture in it.
We'll break the record.
You will break the record. I think you will. Well, for the home gardener, you will. I didn't ask you about insecticides. She doesn't spray.
I don't use no insecticides whatsoever.
Nothing? No dusting, no insecticide?
I would not even allow my children to put any, to kill any grass with any of these
poisons.
Poisons.
Yeah. It's stupid.
My grandchildren come to my home.
Yep.
I don't want any poisons sprayed on any, any plants.
And you feel comfortable that everything here is grown naturally and organically.
And it's all
We've been here how long so far, and we still haven't even tasted one tomato.
Well, go for it.
Honestly, you can't compare that to anything. Shop grown, no. You can't compare it. Delicioso.
Thank you.
These are to die for. Be it all cherry tomato. How sweet, huh?
The sweetness is...
Yeah, it's not even acidic, it's just sweet.
No acid whatsoever.
That's what it's all about, folks. If you are going to grow it for yourself, you need to try and practice as organic as possible. Keep it as clean and as natural as possible, and nature will provide you with an abundance of wonderful produce.
No, I want another one.
He wants another one.
It's like peanuts. Once you start, you can't stop.
God help us when we start on the pistachios, huh?
They're currentently putting on a bet on how big that heavy
tomato's going to be.
All right, so what do we got? We're betting on the tomatoes.
Yeah.
Wait, wait for the tomatoes. What's going on here?
Put some on there and we'll find out. Yeah.
Manos Suma. Seriously?
Suma, you know what Suma is?
Yeah.
Have some and you find out.
Yeah. I won't be able to talk about it.
A little bit, because you got to drive back.
No, I'm not driving.
You're not driving, you're lucky.
Wow, so you do this every Wednesday?
Yep.
And then what do you do on Thursday? Recover.
Recover, yeah.
Cheers to good health, to happy gardening, and to...
Thank you for coming to visit.
Thank you for having me. What do we say?
Marianthi. Tom gave me that cutting, grapevine cutting, because they're nice leaves for tomatoes to make.
Oh, that's going to be perfect, because you're not going to be able to see the street after in a couple of years. Now, you've got some capsicums here and eggplants, and we're past midday at the moment, so they've only just started to get some sunlight. And you mentioned to me earlier that these little plants are struggling, or they're not doing that well. They're not getting enough morning sun. That's all it is. So it's still not too late to transplant them across to the other side.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're not big enough to worry about. So you can move them quite easily, and they probably kick off, because you've got plenty of EK Butch and Liquid Gold there, so smash it out. Now, you've got not only the big Malaccas, you've got also the Italian and the little ones as well, and the Roma tomatoes is growing as well.
Yeah, beefsteak.
And they're all doing really clean. And you don't spray, because I asked all the gentlemen about spraying. You mentioned that you don't spray, but you've had some problems with caterpillars?
Yes. And should I have, what they advised is dusting and stuff like that, or sprayed something, whereas you didn't do it, so I didn't do it.
No, you don't need to. If you've got an inundation of insects, like a pest that's destroying your garden, that's when you resort to it. But in your case here, this is clean. If I went like this, I don't see one single insect flying off. Have you seen anything yet?
No.
No. Do you know what I'm talking about when I do that?
Those white...
The little white flies. you've heard about it and you've heard me mention it many a times. There's nothing here. A couple of little flies or something like that, but not white flies or insects. So do not spray. You also prune, don't you?
Yeah, did I do too much?
Not at all.
It was too... To tie them up, I had to make sense of it, so I cleaned them up.
Let me tell you about early blight.
Okay.
It's a disease, that's the name of it.
Yep.
And that's the discoloration. And if I can do this, see this leaf here? See how it's starting to discolour? And
Yep.
the mildew developing on that?
Yep.
That's because there's not enough sunlight directly on the plant or airflow. Even though it looks like there is, it's just a little bit damp here for them, so they don't need as much water. And I'm crunching something here. What are these, pistachios?
Yeah, from the pistachio tree.
I'm stepping on pistachio nuts. He doesn't harvest, or you eat them off the tree.
My daughter eats them fresh when they're
Really?
soft. Yeah.
This is the little secret corner.
Yeah, this is the secret
Okay, gotcha. Back to the early blight. That discoloration that occurs on the actual foliage not only happens to affect the plant on the leaves, but it also affects the stem. Have you noticed that?
Oh, is that what that is?
That's what it is. So you've got early blight developing, and marks are developing on the plant itself all the way along. So that is a virus. It hasn't hurt the plant because you can see up here where there's more sunlight, it's quite in control. There's no disease spreading there. Keep thinning it out, get rid of this.
Yeah.
And if you need to spray it, you use a bluestone-based fungicide, but nothing else.
Oh, I bought that off your website.
there
Is it that little blue bottle?
Yeah.
Is that all
there
I
anything,
do?
Is there anything you haven't bought? Seriously, no, don't answer that question. All right, let's go along. Any other questions?
No, not